program contains material that viewers may find unsuitable for younger children. A parental control system is advised. The following program contains opinions of the participants and does not reflect the views and beliefs of the Derana Media Network. The network believes in a safe space for all ideas to be expressed and on its duty to create such a platform for free speech. Viewer discretion is strictly advised. For a real view, real opinion, and for an honest conversation, it's time to Get Real with Mahieash Johnney. Tonight, coming to you from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Get Real, where we speak to notable newsmakers from all around the world and here at home specifically. And these days, we've been talking a lot about the budget and we've been bringing views from the government side and also from the opposition. Right now, I want to focus more about the opposition's role here as our nation's parliament has, I think, closer to around 60-65 seats for the opposition, which is not exactly much per se. And how can they unite themselves and put up a one voice and be the opposing voice to the current government's way of dealing with things? And in order to do that, tonight joining me is parliamentarian Sujeewa Senasinghe. He is the parliamentarian from the SJB. Welcome to the program. Good to see you, parliamentarian. Thank you for being here. I want to start off with this entire conversation that is occurring these days with regard to the opposition not being united. Why I ask this is recently there was this rally in Nugegoda. The SJB, the main opposition, opted out, and then we initially saw a mode of the United National Party and the SJB trying to come together, but we don't know where it is. Tamil parties within the parliament, we don't know where they are in terms of their voice. So why do you think these little areas of interest are there within the opposition, whereas the opposition should be putting a united front?
Well, I guess against the terror approach by the government, Gestapo-style police force, and on that we are united. We are all united, but when it comes to political ideology and principles, we differ little bit from each other. So politically we are not together, but as a opponent to the government, we have been together and we have already discussing, and there's a long way for election or anything like that. But against the terror movement of the government and the illegal sort of approach using the armed forces, the police and the CID, the bribery commission to harass opponents and government officials, we are united on that front, and it's quite a steady, actually even the last rally, we were in that committee, we were organizing it. It's just that politically we decided that on that day, on that rally, that we won't be a part of it. But other than that, all the all together, even in the parliament, we are on most occasions we are together. On certain issues we have to sometimes, for instance, on these wages of the estate worker, the Tamil parties had a different view. So we had to kind of respect their view and let them take a decision on that, only for that particular purpose. So other than that, like that, we have certain areas where we have to separate ourselves and work separately. But all in all, against the tyrannical approach of the government, we are all
Why
together.
do you say it's tyrannical? Because apparently when you ask the government, they say, well, we are just following the law, we are going ahead with everything that is supposed to be done. Prime Minister was on this program and she said, well, what am I to do if there are more crooks in the opposition? And now they are being investigated. So why do you say that it's tyrannical right now?
Johnny, I'll start with my example. And they came after me on a vehicle which I brought from the company. And recently, after 1 year, I spent over 10 million to defend myself. And they were trying to, because their initial motive is to put you in jail, to remand you and to make you suffer, because we are not used to it. And coming from our background, and we have never I'm a lawyer, but never faced it personally. So recently they came to court and said there's nothing against me. The CID, after 1 year, came and said it's quite obvious there's nothing. I bought a genuine vehicle from the company, and all the documentation was there. But the system was such, and it was so difficult for me to, even the judiciary, a lot of appointments, a lot of promotions were on the pipeline during that time. So I had a huge task and challenge, and I'm just giving you my example. And now
is that the same for the rest of the opposition?
Most of them. I'm just giving you my example, and for what reason? And they have spent over more than, I think, 600, 700 lakhs on my case. It's quite obvious what the case was initially, and the judge said there's nothing illegal about the vehicle. The vehicle was released to me. But on just silly things, just using the CID, the other instruments where they have, and they said then from the beginning, they said even in Russia, even in Venezuela, even these dictatorial countries, they use law. So they use for their favor, and then they.
But we saw a different tune from the current government when they were in the opposition.
That's what I was saying. Now. There may be a couple of crooks. They should go after the crooks, but they should not silence the voice of the opposition. Now you see Chamara Sampath, the few cases that he has, and I can discuss those. Those are all legal transaction and decisions taken by officials. So then they twist it around, and even Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe's, and they are looking for a letter, and they have spent over 500 lakhs on that. I heard they have gone to England, and they have not even gone to the university to check the letter. So like that, this government, everybody knows, even in other countries where you have dictators, even Putin in Russia, he used the law. So in Venezuela, in maybe even in North Korea, you can always use the law in your favor. And I remember Al Kanta saying, when we come into power, we will use force. We will make use of the government, all the institutions which we can use, and we will use force.
In a situation like that, how do you operate?
We have to be bold. We have to be brave, and you need brave, strong politicians to. The general public can't do that. We have to stand by the general public, and we have to be in the front and lead from the front and take them on. And with Rajapaksa also, we had such a intense situation like this, but we had something close, a similar situation.
So you tend to say that the current situation is unprecedented,
it is. We have not even seen this for 70 whatever years. We have not seen this during D.S. Ranayaka, Dalli Ranayaka. We saw a little bit during Sirimao Bandaranayaka's time with who was that? He had a minister who was quite ruthless. I forget his name. And after that, with Rajapaksa's regime also, we saw a little bit of sort of similar. They tried to arrest me twice, but we had the liberty of going to Supreme Court and the judiciary, and I got my relief there. Here, it's quite a sort of a different, and they are trying to put their web on all the institutions and try to take control of that and then use force. So it's very.
Don't you think unity is your crucial element here?
Definitely. For that, we are united. I can see, I have to give actually praise for most of the party leaders from all, and the Tamil parties, the Muslim parties, the Sinhala parties, all.
Even the Tamil parties?
Even the Tamil parties on a lot of issues, they were together, we were together. But politically, as a political voice, it's difficult for us to come to the same platform at the moment.
Well, I want to
ideology, principles, yes, on issues, certain issues. Now, you take the estate workers' price. We don't know whether they will increase the salary. Legally, there is a big challenge, and it's very sensitive. You can't talk about the legal challenge. Then the workers would think that we are trying to obstruct. And so what we have to do is hope for the best and then support that initiative.
I want to move on to the economic portion of our discussion, but before that, very quickly, where are you as a party, the SJB and the United National Party? Even yesterday, there was conversations occurring in order to unite. What exactly is this unity is going to look like? Is this towards a common goal, or is it like amalgamating the same both parties in and creating one party, or what exactly is in the pipeline?
You see, most of the development in this country happened when the UMP was in power. If you take from D.S. Ranayaka and John Kuthalawala, and after that J.R. Jayawardena, the main people I'm talking about, the Premadasa, the Mahavali, the program was initiated by Mr. J.R. Jayawardena and that team. And then even the garment industry, when China and Singapore not have even imagined starting free trade zones, Sri Lanka was the first to start, and so it's always embedded in us, the development, the open policy. It's all, the whole world is now following that. China, India, everybody is into open economy, and we introduced that to Asia. So as a team, there's nothing much of a difference between UMP and SJB. It's a leadership problem we had with Mr. Wickremesinghe actually initially. So now he is getting older also, and probably he thinks that we should come together and SJB should take the lead. And if that happens, we'll definitely will get together with UMP, because ideologically and in principles we don't have that much of a difference. So that's I think a good move, and with that we can then move on to other parties who have the same sort of similar approach towards the economy and the future. We should be able to make a bigger coalition.
Okay, let's move on to talking about the budget, which just it's still ongoing. The final reading is supposed to happen, I think, next month per se.
5th, I think.
Yes. The budget speech per se, what is being incorporated to the document, was presented by the President on the 7th of this month. What do you think about?
A very difficult situation the country is facing, because when we got bankrupted, it was really a grave situation for the country. But fortunately, Mr. Wickremesinghe, we have differences in political ideology and in other areas, but he managed to get a small team together and manage to recover, and that was one of the great recoveries in the world, and brought the growth rate up to about 5.2%. And from there, when this government came in, they would have taken this, because Johnny, you see, the 5.2 growth rate is relative. It's coming from the bottom. When you're bankrupt, it's 5.2. India has about 7.2 growth rate, and you have to grow from 7.2 relative. So it's very difficult. Even from 7.2, if you have 3% growth rate, that's a huge growth rate. It's not merely 7%. So they are growing each year. On that platform, they are growing another 7%. Now here you're growing. Mr. Wickremesinghe, what he did was a bankrupt country on the bottom, and from there 5.2%. So from there, the next government should grow at least to about 6%. So that is how we can come out of this huge problem with the debt. So this government has not been able to do that. The growth prediction was from the World Bank was 3.2%, and that is correct. I will demonstrate how it's 3.2%. And even the money they had allocated on the budget to spend, they only spent 25%. So
last year?
For the last year, 75% was not spent. So a bankrupt country, the money you have to spend, so that is the money which comes to the market and circulates, and then kind of grow the economy. You need the money, you need infusion when you're down. When the inflation is high, what you do is you get the interest rates high and you bring the inflation down, and then the government starts spending. So the businesses which were...
is that not happening right now?
75% has not been spent, and that was quite evident in all the speeches, and I have proof. Some areas 0%. Most of the areas 0%. They have not spent the money which were allocated. They didn't have the know-how, the expertise, the want. They were struggling with the officials, and the only good thing that they did, they kept the main officials who had the central bank and the finance ministry as they were. They didn't bring their own people. The Malimau didn't bring their people, and So that was that's how they at least managed to stay here. But other areas, they were struggling, the minister was struggling, most of the officials were leaving, chairmen were leaving. About 29 have left. 29, mind you, for 1 year. And imagine, Johnny, you leave and a couple of other top managers leave. How would this institution survive? The top guys. So 2 or 3 people leaving, you can understand. Because they're very arrogant, they're very bold, and then the officials find them very difficult to work with this crowd. And when we were in our ministry, initially they also look at us, are they corrupt, are they clean, do they want to do anything? So the officials also watch us. So after 1 or 2, 3 weeks, they study us, and when they know that we have a clear approach and we have a genuine approach, they start working, and they're amazing workers. I managed to get something done. They said it will take about 7 years for me to get Millennia Industrial Zone up and running up to the gate. But we managed to do it in 7 months. And people were shocked. They said, you can't do it with this office. I said, no, just watch. I used to call them every Monday morning, and then lethargic initially, but once they know you're interested, you know the subject, and your approach is right, you're not robbing, you're clean, then they come firing all guns, and then they work really hard, and they're very efficient. So that is not happening. That has not happened with this government.
One of the things that most of the critics used to say, especially analysts in the economic field, say is that this is a continuation of the Vikramasinghe government. Basically, the economic structure, they've continued. So they are not adding anything new. But when you ask the government says our entire structure is different, and our approach is different, and how we do things is different. As the opposition, do you see that, or do you see something different occurring?
The basic things are very similar, basic things, just for us to float, for us to get the petrol, the diesel, to survive. But beyond that, you need more. But Mr. Vikramasinghe had plans to get investment in. Only $50 million had come in last year. And then the US and a couple of other countries have said that Sri Lanka is not a conducive environment for. So that has spread all around the world. They have said it's a Marxist government.
It's a cumbersome
Marxist
process.
Government, and there's a terrorism, there's riots, and then travel advisory being given to. So these are small indications. The foreigners, the investors, they take. Why do they want to come into a risk place and invest in a country like that? So that's why the investments, they have dwindled down to $50 million. The rest, about 700 million, was all the agreements which were signed before. And government, as I told you, I want to come back to that also. They have not done. If they had done the same thing, they would have reached about 6% of growth rate if they had done the same thing, what Mr. Vikramasinghe did. So the basics they have done, that's why they are surviving. But the 3.2 growth rate, which was predicted by the World Bank, is the actual growth rate. They show 4.7%. That is, Johnny, the reason that I asked the World Bank also, why the reason, and I asked a couple of economists also, what they said was, it is the vehicles which we imported from abroad. We spent about $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion. And government managed to get about $2 billion in taxes, but it has a negative, in 3 areas, it has a negative effect on the economy. When 1.5 billion goes out of the country, that's one negative. And then you don't bring tractors, you don't bring lorries, you don't bring for development. What you bring are SUVs, 150 million Land Cruisers, Rolls Royces, and expensive. And those also, the people who buy them, they take loans from the banks. So the money which are there to give the exporters, the manufacturers, the loans, investment loans, the money is not there for them. When you give, because it's easy for them the banks find it easy for them to recover because the vehicle is there. They give about 60 to 70% maybe, and if they don't pay, they take the vehicle. So it's easy to recover. But in a business, that risk factor is there. So what they do is they give the loans, all the loans which are speculated for investment, they have given to bring the vehicle. So you're not bringing the vehicles which are productive, which actually contributes to the manufacturing. You bring all the luxury vehicles. So in 3 areas, dollars go out of the country, and the dollar has gone up to now 311. It was 297 when they came into power, and the rupee has gone down. It has gone down 4%. It has gone down. The value has gone down, the rupee. So all the indicators show, and next year we won't have these vehicles coming in, so the growth rate won't have that 1.5% growth because of the vehicles. When you even if you buy the vehicles, even if you pay and get the vehicles, you spend 1.5 billion, that contributes to the growth rate. So whatever, even though the manufacturing doesn't gain out of this, the growth rate, you see the growth rate. Even during Rajapaksa's regime, you saw that when they take huge loans, that factor doesn't come into the growth rate. When they take huge loans, even there's corruption, when they spend that money on something, then it shows the growth rate. But it's not actual growth rate, but there's some growth because that property, whatever is there, not maybe 100%, even at least 40-50%, that will be there. So there's some sort of growth if that contributes to the economy. Manufacturing, if something starts from out of that, then there is a little bit of growth at least. But here, you show 1.5%, it should be 3.2, it's about 4.7, 1.5 additional growth you show, which was not there, which was not speculated, and that is all because of the vehicles, which doesn't contribute to the economy. It has a negative, in 3 areas, it has a negative effect on the economy. And so next year, it will be worse because there won't be vehicles, there won't be as much as this. All the vehicles that the people are waiting for 6-7 years, I guess. And next year, it will be much less, and so it won't contribute even to the calculation of the growth.
So you basically see this as a negative move by the government, because how do you manage that?
Not negative.
How do you manage that? Because on this side, there's the demand, where the people are actually wanting the vehicles to come in and they want to buy something new. The way of life needs to.
But Johnny, it's different in India and Sri Lanka, because Sri Lankans loves the vehicle.
Yeah.
So even they will be debted to the neck, they won't have, but they would love to have it. So that's our culture. So then you have to sort of control, because you can have huge taxes on expensive vehicles, and you can give less taxes on tractors, lorries, buses.
So what you're saying is, let's focus a little bit more on the development side and reduce
much more, because we have only concentrated 2% of our budget have been allocated for development, production. It has to be about 15%. So no production, no manufacturing, no new factories. All the factories which were here, Johnny, going abroad. Orange, I spoke to the owner. He said the new factory will be abroad. And I spoke to a couple of other companies. They say their new factory is going to be, because it's 60 rupees a unit of electricity in Sri Lanka. It's 28 in India. So can you see the comparison?
Yeah.
So people are kind of with the taxes also, 30% tax on the exporters also. So we spoke to Peter Brewer, and we asked him, if you kill the golden goose, the exporter here, who will remain here to pay taxes in Sri Lanka? And out of 1.2 million small business holders, SMEs, already 250,000 businesses are closed.
Yeah.
Another 250,000.
Staggering amounts there.
Another 250 is going to be closed during this year. That risk is there. So they came and met us, and there's no moratorium. The properties being taken, and so we don't have If you have manufacturing, you could have used the income to kind of sort of mitigate this issue on the debtors and the SMEs.
So you don't see even from this budget going into 2026, the government mechanism has pushed towards restarting the development process of this country, but yet just more focused on keeping
surviving.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what to do next. So what they are doing, they are keeping the central bank governor. They are telling him to fiscal policy, and those the most important things they don't juggle with that. Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, that was his mistake. He tried to bring his own sort of approach towards, and that didn't work. But these people know they can't touch that. The monetary policy and fiscal policy, they should not touch. So that is, as it is, it's there. But then you need production, you need manufacturing. To come out of this, India is improving hugely. Pakistan, even Bangladesh, those countries are above us. So when those countries are, Sri Lanka has automatically the geographical location of Sri Lanka, nobody has. And around Sri Lanka, we have a wind tunnel which can produce 55 gigawatts of power. So Adani came, and we chased Adani, and they said 50 megawatts can be produced for 4 cents.
The government said apparently their price mechanism was not competitive.
That is all bullshit. I'm sorry to use that word. Because I've called so many companies, because I gave them a challenge. I challenged them and said, I'll give you 1 year. You bring somebody who can produce 500 megawatt of wind power, and then the transmission line, $200, mind you, Johnny, $200 million, $200 million. And they were going to manufacture that transmission line. They were going to spend on it, and within 10 years we'll have to, on easy payment, we'll have to pay them for that, and the CB will own it in 10 years. And where else, from which company, which country you will get that sort of help for our economy? And then 500 megawatt at 8 cents, $8, that's 23 rupees. And out of coal, the cheapest what we produce, except for the Maha Valley, which is about 2 rupees, we spend about 23 rupees. That is for coal. And coal, it's not environmentally. There are so many logistics, so many problems. Here is wind power, and out of wind power is going to be the future of the world. From wind power, you can create hydrogen. So hydrogen is the future of the world. Now, for all the jets, the hydrogen fuel is what they use, and that's going to be the future. So you can have a university around this area, Mana area. So if Adani came and manufactured 500 megawatts, and then we could have given another 500 for 8 cents. And I checked all over the world, and they're talking about this 50 megawatts. 50 megawatts is easy. You don't need logistics for 50 megawatts. It's a different sort of a total different approach for 50 megawatts. But for 500 megawatts, you need a lot of logistics. You need to bring that. In India, it's about 4 cents. But in Sri Lanka, it's 8 cents, they told me, because of the logistical problem they have transporting all the goods from India to Sri Lanka, or from China to Sri Lanka. So we don't have that. Even in I think Philippines, it's about 8 cents. All the countries which are like Sri Lanka, it's about 8 cents. And only in India, it's 4 cents, because they have the logistics, everything is there.
They build it there.
So, but we miss this opportunity. So when we miss this first opportunity, and if we had manufactured about 2,000 megawatts there in Mana, we have 2,000 in Mana base, and in other Kilinochchi, other areas, Jaffna, we have the other wind tunnels. And we could have easily given Sri Lankan CEB, and we could have brought it down from 60 rupees to about 28, 30 rupees a unit, which would be competitive with India. And that this government didn't see the day of light to do that. And they missed a golden opportunity.
Indeed. We're going to talk more with parliamentarian Sujeewa Senasinghe with regard to the economic know-how of this government, and whether most of the proposals that they have made, will they work or not. But before that, let's take a short commercial break. You're watching Get Real. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Get Real. I'm in conversation with STV parliamentarian Sujeewa Senasinghe. He was also the former minister during the 2015-2019 government of the UNF, I believe, under President Maithripala Sirisena. Right now, I think your focus at that time was mostly industry.
Foreign trade and investment.
And investment. Right now, let's focus a little bit on that particular subject in comparison to what you all were proposing back then and what has been happening concurrently. I think the approach of these two governments, these are the two main schools of thought, especially when it comes to the left-wing thought and the right-wing thought, which we have been supplied by the United National Party per se originally. And on the other side, it is the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, or now the SLPP, these breakaway parties of that particular ideology. So these were the two things that were headbutting all the time during elections and all. But right now we see a lot of mixing of it, and with this government we have no clue as to which one they're approaching, because there's a lot of capitalistic approach as well, but then they claim to be a little bit of Marxist, and socialism is also there. But in terms of that, development, industries, which you focused on earlier as well, how do you see going forward? Because yes, we also see from this particular point of view that the industries are neglected, which has to be our backbone, which should be the driving force of our economic renaissance per se, is not being given that particular task, or has not been given that place for them to actually restart the whole process and come back strong. We don't see a lot of areas like even agriculture. Now the farmers are questioning where is the fertilizer. So fertilizer issue was something that this government was very vocal about when they were in the opposition and when they didn't have power.
They were running on it.
A different mechanism right now. So what do you think that the government should be doing and that they are not doing right?
Government should do everything which they are not doing at the moment. Because actually they are also confused. I think Mr. Amar Kumar Dissanayake never expected to win. And he won. We saw that he was quite flustered, and after that he probably thought can manage, and that's what they were trying to do. And if I bring your attention to manufacturing, as I said, when we came in, we got 5 million euros donation, not a loan, donation, and we managed. I was heading that. I was the navigator for export strategy, national export strategy of Sri Lanka, and we went through all the areas, and we got Harvard to help us, McKinsey, and all the top institutions in the world to come and help us with us, and then they studied our bottlenecks, our problems, ease of doing business standards, and all that, and they sort of created amongst all the ministries a mechanism where our exports will grow, and we chose about 6 areas. So that blueprint is already there. They can use that without being proud or being arrogant. They can use that and they had about another 3 million euros in their coffers for them to spend for us to implement this. And that I said, from outside as a opposing MP, I would come and help you. You don't need to give me anything, so the country will benefit out of this, because there are so many poor people, 25% below 16,000 a day, so which is appalling. And then on top of that, Hambantota port was we were not instrumental in building Hambantota port, but it became a baby after we came into power. So initially they were planning to develop about 3,000 to 4,000 acres around Hambantota, and that was the main focus from China, because China is not going to get business out of that place if they don't have factories around it. So they wanted factories around their own factories, Chinese factories. And then I started Millennia with Rojana from Thailand. They contributed 12% of GDP in Thailand. Rojana, the Chai, his name is Chai. He was my age, and I managed to convince him, because you have a military government, if you have a problem, you have one leg in Sri Lanka, so you can kind of shift most of your assets here to Sri Lanka. Industrial zones, you can bring them here. They have 6 in Thailand. And he agreed, and he liked the idea. And when we came in, and I couldn't finish it because Mr. Malik Samaraweera was the top minister above me, and he thought that I might get the full credit out of this. I managed to finish it up to the gate. It was just for us to start, and by now we would have had about 100 factories. And Mr. Malik Samaraweera said, don't report to Sujeewa Senasinghe, and we had issue. I went and spoke to Mr. Wickramasinghe. But that never, because the shareholders were Japanese and they don't like ambiguity. They said, if you change Mr. Senasinghe, we are not going to come to Sri Lanka. He was one of the most efficient and clean ministers that we were working with. We don't want to get into any problems with any other person. So they said, if you change, we are going to withdraw, and they withdrew. So what I'm saying is they can start similar if you don't in Kurunegala.
That's the thing. What we are not saying, parliamentarian, is that we don't see them going out into the world and speaking to those nations and telling them to come to Sri Lanka, because that correspondence is not occurring from a high level. We see President Anukumara Dissanayake going in a couple of trips, going and coming, but we don't know exactly what the follow-up is.
Johnny, look at this now. Adani, we don't know who Adani is. I'm not promoting Adani. I don't know who Adani, but I know Adani has a lot of industries
all around the world.
All around the world. So if Adani had come to Sri Lanka to give 500 megawatts, where you can't get below 8 cents a unit, and they agreed with us after they came at 950 cents, and they came down after 14 discussions with the government, they came down to 8 cents. And with the transmission line, another 200 million, and altogether 1 billion for the 500 megawatts, and altogether about 1 billion. They said 500 million initially, it would have been about 1 billion. And $1 billion invested in Sri Lanka initially. Then industries, we could have spoken to him about industries then. He would have wanted a university around that area, then it would have been hydrogen, and Sri Lanka would have been ideal because India doesn't have this, the wind tunnel. Sri Lanka has. So Adani would be interested in business, not in India, but Sri Lanka he would have, I'm just giving you an example, then we would have given him the proposal. You start a university teaching this industry to the rest of the world, and you get all the wind power, all the entities in Mana area, and the Mana area would develop. Like that, then we would have got other investors showing Adani is in Sri Lanka, he has invested $3 billion in Sri Lanka. He is starting a manufacturing plant here. He is starting 500, probably it would have been 2,500 megawatts.
Yes.
Then you could have started in Kurunegala. We have identified about 2,000 acres. In Hambantota about 2,000 acres. Kalutara about another 1,000 acres. So we spoke to the exporters also. We spoke to Amaleen, we spoke to Ashraf Omar, and we asked them, because we didn't know the industry, so we asked them during the election, we asked them, can you get investors to come to Sri Lanka knowing that it's 60 rupees a unit in electricity, productivity cost will be high. They said even with that, if you give infrastructure, there are enough investors because of the geographical location of Sri Lanka who are willing to come. And imagine
nobody's coming to Parliament.
So, but we if we were in power, we would have got a lot of people. We got Rojana to come, except for the mistake made by Mr. Malik Samaravikrama. Rojana would have been the first, because you need the first person to come. No, Johnny. When the first person comes, then the rest follow. No, because now there is a travel advisory by the United States saying it's a Marxist government and there will be terrorism, there are riots. So people don't know Sri Lanka. No. Now my friends, when they speak about Colombia, they are scared to go to Colombia. But Colombia is normal.
Yeah.
It is a perception that we have. That in Sri Lanka was also like that. And I speak to people who there are wars and they say it's normal. Not normal as Switzerland or Sweden, but relatively normal. So Sri Lanka also would have sort of developed a name, fast growing economy, peaceful country, beautiful country, and conducive environment for investment. Then that 2 or 3, James Packer, when they came also, probably we also would have made a objection in that. He would have also brought some sort of, because he was bringing casino. Then now this government was against the casino, saying the country will be open. The biggest now Mr. Anukumara Dissanayake, he is the biggest supporter of casinos. So there is all until your socialism is until you make your first buck. So everybody changes. And
parliamentarian, I want to ask about now. Yesterday in Parliament, Minister Sunil Hadunethi made a speech in English, asking the world to come.
Yeah.
But do you think what he was proposing and what he was saying is resonating with the investors outside? Because we see an attempt by the government to actually attract businesses, but then like this, many opposition members and even members from the business community keep saying is that they do not know how to get it done. It's just that the mechanism, functionality of it, the infrastructure of it is not in existence. So do you think what he was saying in Parliament would resonate positively with outside world, and we would see that type of investors coming into this country?
But I would have to commend him for speaking in English, and I thought people are mocking him for the earlier the small mistake he made when he went abroad. But I would commend him coming from the village background and him learning and speaking. I would actually.
That's an effort.
That's an effort, and definitely I will give him thumbs up for that. And I saw even Mr. Bimal Ratnayaka mocking him, their own people. I wouldn't do that. I won't make it's just a language, and then.
But it's not our first language.
Not our first language. But he could have used it, because when you can't express yourself in a forum like that.
No, but what I said, why it was so crucial was that he was actually talking to the world.
Yeah, so that's where I'm coming at, trying to explain what happened to him and his approach, and I commend it. But as an example, I'll give you, when I met Chai in Sri Lanka, he was in a suit, he came and he was trying to see what investment he can bring in. So I had a chat with him, and I didn't know who he was. He just looked like you. And I didn't know he was a major player in Thailand. And so it's a personal touch that you create. J.R. Jayawardena created that personal touch with Japan and US. You saw him talking to Mr. Reagan. He can take a phone call and tell him, can you give us this? So we got the parliament, we got Rupawahini. So like that, it's a personal touch. And Mr. Sirimawa Bandaranaike also had a personal touch with certain leaders. Gamitha Nayaka had a personal touch with Victoria. We got JR. So Mr. Premadas also had. So it's a friendship and a warm environment to create with these leaders in the world. You can't just, in a speech, you say, why don't you come to Sri Lanka? You have to create the platform. You have to give them, this is what we offer to you. And that is what I did to Chai. I told him, you have a danger, you have a military government, you might have one leg here, have one industrial zone in Sri Lanka. If you have a problem, then you bring 2 or 3 to Sri Lanka. So you need ambassadors in every area, as ministers, as president. You need ambassadors where you can approach. We need a couple of J.R. Jayawardenas, Gamini Disanayakas, Premadasas, Lalit Atalat Mudalis. Why can't we have it? If we had it in 80s and 70s, why can't we have it now? The world is more developed, Sri Lanka has more talent, and English education is rampant everywhere. During Mr. J.R. Jayawardenas, it must have been about 1%. Now it's about 10%. So we need, and people also must not be emotional when they vote. They need to choose some talented leaders to represent their country and to bring this sort of investment coming into the country. So we have not had that opportunity for 30 years, Johnny. From 94, Mr. Wickramasinghe once in a way managed to squeeze in with the government for about 1 or 2 years, and that's also half-hearted government, maybe the Prime Minister, not the President. So we haven't had, from 94, we haven't had that sort of personalities coming in and promoting Sri Lanka in the world stage.
The Rajapaksas and Chandrika Kumaratungas, they were also very prominent in getting businesses into.
They didn't get any manufacturing. They didn't get any business to Sri Lanka. I have to disagree with you. They didn't manage to during Chandrika's time. We didn't have any manufacturing. We should have started manufacturing electronics during that time, because from garment industry, all the other countries, China, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, all went into manufacturing electronics. And we could have. Mr. Premadasa started this, and Mr. J.R. Jayawardenas started the garment industry when nobody had this knowledge about garment industries. So from there was no, the technology has not developed by then. So garment industry was kind of on the zenith of development, that stage. Other countries, but if you had started developing a couple of motor vehicles in Sri Lanka, if you have brought the parts and the 30%, 20%
there were
value
assembly groups.
Assembly groups, Upali, that was by Upali, which was a proper assembly. These assemblies are, you break a vehicle and you come and assemble here, that doesn't work. You need at least 40% to 30%, at least 30%. If you have 30% value addition, that's a lot, Johnny. 30% is not easy. If you have 30% value addition, then you have, you can export to duty free to certain countries. If you get into duty free, if you get into pacts, agreements with countries like China, India, and that also, this government actually was objecting to that, CEPA and the other. So the two, so if we had those agreements with these countries, we could have had a opportunity to export our manufacturing. So, but from 94, you see, if you can help me, if I can't remember, We didn't start any manufacturing in Sri Lanka all this time.
I think during Gotabaya Rajapaksa's small period, they tried to bring in pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceuticals, yeah. Yes. Pharmaceuticals we have. Just you're right. Pharmaceuticals we have moved in. We have a couple of factories in Sri Lanka, which is good. So, but that should have been replicated. That should have been multiplied in other industries. We could have gone into chip building. We could have gone into boat building. So that is what we promoted during our time, during that when we created the export strategy. So boat building was one of our. So boat building we do a little bit, and then if you remember, Mr. Governmental, when they started Maha Valley, it's not the turbines, it's the certain motors were. That is how the LTL came into light. 30% by a Norwegian or a Canadian company. Transformers. They started manufacturing transformers. So then we started manufacturing transformers, and we now manufacture in couple of countries, in African countries. So from there we didn't move forward, and we didn't get the know-how, and we didn't have that sort of thinking out of the box. We didn't have those characters.
I would agree, because the out of the box thinking is being quite missing for quite some time right now. Let's take a short commercial break. I'm in conversation with parliamentarian Sujeewa Senasinghe from the SJB, our nation's opposition. You're watching Get Real. Apologies there. Welcome back, per se, to Get Real. Once again, I'm in conversation with parliamentarian Sujeewa Senasinghe from the SJB. Slip up a little bit. Wanted to say good evening again. Anyways, parliamentarian, we've been talking a lot about the economic structure of this government and what they're proposing and whether it'll work in the future. What do you think about the next 2 years? Because things they promised has not come to fruition.
Yeah.
That is something we have to accept, and even the government has to. They can give a plethora of excuses, but reality is that what they promise, and then they gave a know-how, a plan, a blueprint saying this is how we are going to get that, but that has not worked. Even going back into this small thing, which they were very strong, the fertilizer factor for the farmers. Now the farmers are the ones who are screaming and shouting against this government, saying, you guys took our vote, where's the result? So next 2 years, what do you think? Do you foresee a volatile period? Because I really don't like Sri Lanka to go through another crisis.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm not trying to, just because I'm in the opposition, I'm trying to say this. The problem is this. The IMF is twisting the arm. As they do, it's justified by what they're doing. They give loans and they make sure that the
loan is recovered.
That's all. So World Bank has a different sort of approach. World Bank wants Sri Lanka to develop, manufacture. IMF doesn't talk about that. So this government doesn't have a plan how to, as you said, the fertilizer, same problem. The World Bank, the IMF doesn't give them advice to give concessions like these. They tell them cut all the concession, and they are squeezing your neck, and that happens. But you need to have that sort of approach with IMF, and you tell them, here, listen, we can't do that. We have to, and then show development also. So, but as you say, the government, also the danger is this: when the government came into power, there was promise. They had a lot of beautiful words, a lot of beautiful ideas, and that has not practically come into effect. So the world has seen this, and that's why the danger. America was watching. China, we thought China will help. That help has not come, and we thought India got 7 agreements signed. We don't know what they are, and Sri Lanka now in a fix, and we were a non-aligned country, and we don't even know what those 7 agreements with. And now America has come and signed certain agreements.
It was presented in Parliament.
So we don't know the reaction, the repercussions of all these. And then with that, the world has lost faith in the government also by saying Marxist government. Then America would have never said that, no. Then they say that it's a Marxist government, as you said. They want to have open economy, but inside them is something else. Then they don't know what exactly they want to do. They have their mechanism, their thought process is Marxist, but they think the world is moving towards open economy and they're trying to implement that, which is not happening. And they're not genuine. They're not. The approach doesn't feed well to the rest of the world. So with that, there won't be any investments in Sri Lanka in the future. I hope there would be, but I can't see any. Within this 1 year, nothing much has come in. So with that, there's no manufacturing, there's no investment.
If you were given the chance to advise the government right now, I mean, of course you can, as a member of opposition, and give your point of view. What would you ask the government to do right now?
One thing is, government is very arrogant, and these characters also, most of them are very arrogant. And they don't want to. I would like to listen, Johnny, and learn. When I went to science and technology, I didn't know much. About 2 months I was learning the subject. I was asking, I don't know, teach me. And I learned the subject within about 2. And when I went to the foreign trade also, I got that ministry also to learn actually, to be honest. Then I learned a lot. So, but these people, they are not willing to learn. They are not willing to learn, and that's why they are at loggerheads with the officials there. So, okay, immaterial of that also. You ask me, my advice will go in vain. It won't be, I don't think they will take anything out of it, but I would say, talk to the IMF and tell them, these, the manufacturers, the exporters, we can't destroy them. We need to resurrect the SME sector. We need to sort of give them...
That's why I'm finding it a little bit difficult, because who's really running the country? Is it the IMF?
It's IMF. It's IMF, and it's not. I don't think that's the purpose or the motive. But in the end, Mr. Dissanayake knows, if IMF, we do what IMF does, the country won't fall within the next 6 months. So we will, the fiscal policy, the monetary policy will sustain up to a certain extent until the danger will be in 2028. Country will go like this. People will not have petrol, diesel problems. And they were asking us, you said the country will collapse. It would have collapsed if they did what they said they would do. They said they are going to tell the IMF to give loans the way they want and otherwise get out. And they said they are going to renegotiate, which didn't happen. If that they tried, country would have definitely collapsed. So they know that IMF can kind of take them with the officials which Ranil Wickremesinghe, Mr. Wickremesinghe appointed without collapsing for another 1 or 2 years. But the country will be in danger. There won't be manufacturing. If you don't have 6% growth, then paying the debt.
President Anur Kumar Dissanayake said that in 2008, the 7%, 2032, that was his target within 7 years, in the short term, in the medium term.
So, Johnny,
you think it's possible?
So how do you do it with the vehicles? We got it to 4.7 with the importation of vehicles. Otherwise, it would be 3.2. That 3.2 is not by the government. The business community is taking forward the country, and that 3.2 is because of them. But if you continue that, the next year also 3.2. So we are sacrificing 2% every year. End of 3 years, we have sacrificed 6%. So then it's already $100 billion, the debt. We brought it down to, with the restructuring of the foreign debt from 43 billion, we brought it down to 36 billion. Now it has risen up to 37 billion again, 37 billion foreign debt. About 63 billion local debt. It was 50 billion earlier. It was about 50 billion earlier. Now it's 63 billion local debt. So local debt also accumulates, and the foreign debt also accumulates. And with the budget deficit, we have a minus of about $6 billion per year. So on top of it, we have more loans coming in. So then it's very dire, no? If you don't get the debt management at least to about 60 to 70 billion, it's difficult. I know they are in a
very tough spot.
But you have to be aggressive. You have to be creative. couple of top leaders like Mr. J.R. Jayawardena, Gamsanak, I always say this because they need to get that respect from us for what they have done, and most of the time we forget the good things these leaders have done. So I think Mr. Sajith Premadasa and our team, we have a quite a efficient team and a team which has delivered in the past. They were in charge of ministries, maybe deputy ministers, state ministers, and I think we have a very good team which can give a good competition to the 1977 team. And with that sort of, and probably a couple of other good characters from other parties also get together. And I think we definitely have confidence. If we are in charge, within 5 years, we can change this country around, because we have that potential. The people are talented and we have a good structure, even though whatever they say, our health system is good, our education system is good. It just needs a little bit of polishing, and then thinking out of the box and to take it forward. I think we have the potential. Sri Lanka has the potential, definitely.
All right, that is a good point to end our discussion. Thank you very much, Parliamentarian, for coming. Really appreciate it and sharing your views with regard.
Thank you, Johnny. Hopefully we will do well the country will, because we
have to. No, there is no other option. Thank you once again, Parliamentarian. Well, that's all the time we have for you tonight. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back again next week with another notable newsmaker right here on Get Real. See you then. Bye.